Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Cammy Goes Keto, where we are here today with the wonderful Nicki, and we are on Motivational Mondays. This is my YouTube channel where I'm experiencing and going through the journey of transitioning from a standard American diet, which was killing me, and also doing a lot of binge eating, to a ketogenic diet, a keto carnivore diet where I'm eating a lot of meat. I'm paying close attention to my carbohydrates, and my comrade Nicki is doing the same exact thing. And we
Yes.
were we were just talking before we started filming about how sometimes at parties over the holidays and being with family and everything with all of the sweets and sugar around that we feel like lone wolves.
Yes, yes.
But then what did you say, Nick, in that?
I said, "But really we're not because we're part of our own little sugar-free pack."
That's right. We're part of a pack of people that live in this community. And so it really helps us to have community support, which is why we go to our sugar detox meetings and why we have lots of friends and phone numbers and why it helps us to not feel like we're alone. And during the holidays, when we're at parties with family or friends, we can often feel like we are a lone wolf dealing with this saying no to sugar. So today we're going to go over a few different things that is called Just Say No, and we're talking about how do you say no to sugar and flour and to other foods that could be triggers for you during the holidays. And so for a lot of people, sugar is not a treat, it's a trigger. And one of the things we're going to talk here about a few common holiday triggers, and then we're going to talk about some scripts that we can use to say no. So, what are some of the triggers that put you into some tricky situations potentially during the holidays, Nikki?
Yeah, family stuff because when you're around like your mom or your dad or, close family members and you have memories attached to that food, it becomes like, "Oh, if I don't have that food, I'm not gonna make that same memory of Christmas 2026 or 2025, I'm sorry." Have that memory, but you really don't want the food, you want the bonding that comes with the food,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an important subject and you brought it up in such a nice way. So the family memories can be a big thing. Environmental triggers like parties, desserts, travel food, baskets that people bring you. And the other thing too is sometimes there's social pressure, right? Like
Mhm.
just have one, tastes good, it was made with love, and you don't want to feel rude, you don't want to feel out of place, you don't want to feel different when, everybody else is grabbing one and you're going to sit there and say, just say no. And the answer is yes, right? The answer is yes, that's what we're going to do.
Exactly, because although I'm saying no to that item, I'm saying yes to me and the future me that I wanna be. So I have to say no because otherwise I'm gonna say no to the future person I wanna be.
And that's so key. That's so important because one of the first things that you want to do that I think could be helpful, as you're on the way to a party or you're on the way to a family event, is to be able to say no to yourself first before you get to the event. So in the car, you can be rehearsing, Cammy, I don't need to eat that food because I want to be healthier and slimmer and have better lab results. No, Nikki, you don't want to eat that food because you want to get, work on your waistline,
Mhm.
and doing those little things that you can tell yourself no before you have to deal with other people. And so that can be helpful too.
Definitely. Yeah, rehearsing in the car I think is huge because if you sort of know how the events are gonna unfold, you can kinda run through them in your brain and do a rehearsal.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So now some things that I looked up that I thought would be good for us to say when people are saying, would you like this item? Or can I offer you some of this? Or they're coming by with a tray of hors d'oeuvres and everybody's grabbing their little napkins and grabbing their little things. Some of the ideas would be, no thanks. I feel better without sugar.
Mhm.
That doesn't work for my body.
Mhm.
No, thanks. That doesn't work for my body. Or that doesn't agree with me. No, thanks. That doesn't agree with me. I think that would be a hard one for somebody to say something about, right? Because what are you going to say? Well, I'm sorry it doesn't agree with you, but I made it with love and you have to eat it and it's going to make you
Yeah.
sick, you know? And no, thanks, I'm not eating that right now. Because then that gives them the idea of thinking, well, maybe she'll eat it later. And then they potentially could leave you alone.
Mhm.
And I think you have to remember that in these situations, most people are going to be kind about it. Most
Mhm.
people are not going to really care. And even if they said, but I made it with love, you can say things back to them like, oh, well, I appreciate that you made it with love and that you were putting so much kindness into it, but that's just not a food that's going to love me back right now.
Mhm.
Things like that. So, some of the other things that we can do is we can plan ahead, right?
Yes.
Like, before we get there, maybe eat a meal before we go.
Mhm. Yeah. Eat some protein. That way you take the edge off and you're not as hungry. So you're not gonna have that physical calling to, like, have something, anything just because you want the hunger to go away.
Right, like eating some protein and some fat, that would be perfect. Or bringing a safe food. I've done that before. I've brought some blueberries and cream with me, and then when people are eating their dessert, I can eat that.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
that can be helpful too. And then another thing that could help is to have an exit plan. Like,
Mhm.
be willing and able to leave early, drive yourself there so that you have a car so that you're not relying on somebody else to bring you home.
Mhm.
Be willing to say, thank you. I don't eat this food. I'm going to go home now. And thank you so much for such a wonderful evening and doing those kinds of things.
Yeah. Especially if you know that they're gonna have, like, a little break and then have dessert later, you can kinda be like, "Oh, darn, I have to go home," and then you could just skip out on the dessert serving so you don't have to give any excuses.
Yeah, that's perfect because a lot of times they do have a break, right?
Mhm.
And, and then or sometimes we go out and walk, like, our family walks between the main meal and dessert. We go out on, a walk on Thanksgiving and on Christmas, but, we're in San Diego, right? So that we don't have to worry about all the snow and everything that's happening
Yep.
in the middle of a holiday walk. Alright, good. And then, let's talk a little bit about when cravings hit. What can you do, if you're in this situation and, you're feeling a little bit weak and your cravings are strong? What are some things that you can do instead of eating the off-plan food that's there in front of you?
Well, the first thing I would say is try, like, drinking a glass of water to see if that can kinda, help you gauge your hunger. Am I really hungry for this, or do I just need, like, a break to sit and have some water and think if I'm really hungry?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea, Nikki. And the other thing that we can do is go maybe excuse yourself to go make a phone call. And
Mhm.
you can leave and go call one of us and say, "Hey, I'm in this situation. I'm having this craving," and we can, brainstorm about some things that you might be able to say to get yourself out of the situation, or if there's any other food available there that you might be able to eat, or some of those things, calling somebody. And then the other thing that's written here is ask, "Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired?" Asking about halt. Yes. And so we could look for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired and try to see if we can address those issues instead of eating some off plan food. Yeah. So I think that what you're saying, the other thing that I think is really important is that if you have to say no to the sugar or the flour or the caffeine or the wheat or whatever it is that you're saying no to at the time, is that you have to remember the importance of what we're saying yes to,
Mhm.
like how we're saying yes to good health,
Yes. Yes to keeping my diabetes in remission.
yes to keeping my diabetes in remission. That's perfect. And then yes to waking up without regret.
Yes.
That's a big one, right?
Mhm.
Or yes to waking up to the scale being good to me after the holiday seasons.
Mhm. And waking up with a stomach ache too.
And yes, yeah, we could say yes to not waking up with a stomach ache. Absolutely. And yes to self respect. Yes to clear thinking. That's one of the things I like about being off of everything sugar, flour, caffeine. I think clearly.
Yes.
And yes to stable moods.
Yeah, no anxiety for me.
No anxiety for Nikki. Yes, yes, exactly. So, and then I wrote here, remember, the season is not about deprivation, it's about protection. And I love, isn't that great?
Mhm.
Because I don't wanna think of it as deprivation. I wanna think of it as protection for myself, for my health, for my well-being, for my happiness, to be there and be able to be around for grandkids and to be able to bend without my joints hurting and, all those kinds of things.
Yes. Yeah. And 2 other things I like to keep in mind is 1, if I'm really hungry, I can eat steak and broccoli or salmon and green beans. If that doesn't sound good to me, I'm not really hungry. That's a
Got it.
craving. That's not hunger. And the second thing is anybody who works for something in life has to, I guess, for lack of a better word, give up something in exchange for it, whether it's their time, their money, they have to do this activity instead of that activity. If there's somebody training for the Olympics, they're not going to get to party as much or do this and that, but they're exchanging it for being in the Olympics. You know what I mean? And you went to medical school. You didn't get to watch as many football games or go to as many parties as you wanted to, but you became a doctor. Like, that's huge. So it was worth it. So we always have to think like, is this worth it? Yeah, it is. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and so sometimes it's like for long-term gains, you have to give up things short-term, right? And you
mhm,
have to give up a lot of things short-term in order for you to get the long-term gain. But it is worth it, and your health is worth it, everybody, and we're all learning that all of this sugar is creating dementia and type 3 diabetes, we're calling it, where everybody's brains as we age are having issues and not functioning well, and a lot of it has to do with chronic years of sugar abuse and sugar use. So
mhm.
we really hope that you can think about being able to say no. And so this is going to be like on our every other Monday, we'll do our catwalk and we'll show you what's going on with our tape measure and our belt. And then every other Monday, we're going to be doing our little motivation series and just have a little something that's going to be able to motivate you and keep you on track.
Yes. We're
All
doing
right.
it too. We're doing it too. So you're not alone.
You're definitely not alone. We are in the throes, and we know people that are in the throes. And so we want you to be able to realize that even though you're at a party and you feel like you're a lone wolf, when you have to say no to the sugar, you're definitely part of a really wonderful pack of people.
Yes. The
All
sugar-free
right.
pack.
The sugar-free pack. Woohoo! All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Nikki, for being
Thank
my
you, Cammy.
comrade on my Motivation Mondays. All right, everybody. Take good care. Bye.